Characters who lost their identity due to romantic relationship. This is by Kira. Kira. I thought this was going to happen to Lauren by being chained to the Beals, but with the family coming back, I have hope again. During his ending, I could argue during his 10-year tenure, Martin was really just an extension of the Slaters, and not really a Fowler anymore. The Michelle recast tried to try and bring this, didn't help either. In my opinion, they should have recasted Vicky earlier and slowly bring the Fowlers to the heart of the show.
Oh yeah, they say that now. They say that now that recast Vicky works. Yeah, they should have just done this years ago. Like, we weren't at that stage yet, boys. We weren't at that stage. It's always a problem with soaps, right? Because a lot of what most people's characterization is it's them finding love and getting into this relationship, which ideally is supposed to be the end game. It's supposed to be their end result, supposed to be what they do, supposed to be the defining thing about their character. But the issue when you do this is a lot of the building is chasing up until they get together, and then they're together, then you're invested. But like a lot of the time, these sorts of relationships, the main driving force is seeing them slowly but surely get together. It's why so many like LGBTQIA plus like couples. It's why so many of them are so like popular, because you slowly see them get together and they're in love, and you get really invested. But then when they actually get into the relationship, that's usually where soaps kind of fall to the wayside. Soaps don't really know how to write romantic relationships as such, because it simply is just a time where they go, what? They got together. What else do you want from us? I don't know, an actual relationship on our screens that we get to see. Yeah, but they got together. That's the main point of this, isn't it? Well, no. It was a big part of it, sure, and that's why there's so many invested eyes. But fundamentally, you do need to build them beyond them getting together. And obviously, there are tons of examples. Like, yes, Martin was entirely an extension of Stacey. In the end, he always was. Even when he was a Ruby, he was thinking of Stacey. It's just how these characters generally worked. And it's the weird thing with soap, because if you have to keep these characters alive, you have to keep them functioning. You kind of have to move them on to different bits. Like, a character will be introduced with a set story and probably introduced with a family. And then if that family then leaves, you have to find a reason for them to stay on this, like on the square, for example. So now that family's gone, now you need a relationship. Now you need kids. They break up with that thing. The actor leaves. Now you need another relationship, because you don't want to have them doing nothing. So, now they're in their second relationship, and it's not really as good as the first one, but it doesn't really matter because they're still here and they're still, like, on our screens. And you just kind of have to find interesting ways to keep people actually wanting to stay on a show and on the square, where their lives are getting blown up, like, every other year. It's the hard thing with soap, because like if you follow a character's entire journey, you will see all of the steps they took in order to try and keep them be a relevant character. And there will be dark times in the history, and there will be the highs, but there will be the lows. And sometimes these characters, even if they are like legacy, long-term, like legendary characters, there are going to be the times that you kind of start to question where they were put, like when Ian Beale and Gene Slater were an item. At that point, maybe you go, yeah, maybe we just don't think about that. Maybe we just don't think about Ian and Denise being a couple. Maybe that's not a good idea. And like even Kat Slater when she was with Phil Mitchell. For them getting together, really, really fun dynamic. But then they got married, and then suddenly, boom, Kat's not even on our screens anymore. Like, it's always a hard thing. And obviously the kind of polar example at this point in time is Callum Highway, who, didn't really have that much interesting character, was with Whitney, but then they realised they were going to take him this direction, put him with Ben Mitchell, boom, Ben and him are together. And then suddenly all of the attention's on Ben, none of it's on Callum, and now Callum is just a walking, he's a walking facilitator for Ben. How is Callum doing? Well, no. How is Ben doing? No, but what about Callum? He's not really done much. Ben. Yeah. It's just kind of it's so hard to kind of make these characters function. But it definitely is a thing that happens.
I do agree. My only example is Alfie 2018, of course, because I'm making Linda because they really did not invest in them, in my opinion. Because it's like, we really like these we're changing executives. Oh no. Oh no.
I mean, they did invest in them for like 8 out of the 9 years, or like however long they would have had. Like, it's just that little in between time where EastEnders was going crazy, where they made Max and Linda and Janine and Mick, which obviously that point was the kind of stomping on the heart of a lot of the fandom and a lot of the people who were invested in said relationship. But the rest of the time there were goals.
Yeah. Do you want me to read some of the comments?
Do you have any other like broad ideas before?
Oh, I can't really think of any off the top of my head. I guess Jay and Lola to an extent, because they so desperately tried to make Jay be Lola's end goal, but it wasn't really. Or it's just Peter and Lola as well. Didn't really work. That was not Tall Peter, guys. That was Brian May Peter. I believe he played Brian May in the Queen documentary.
Hardy.
Yeah, Ben Hardy. So yeah. I can't really think of more. I guess anyone who was with Ian before Jane, and before Cindy, because oh god.
Well, it's just the stuff that it just kind of, like I said, it's just the stuff that they do to kind of make the characters fit. Like before they figured out that Martin was going to die at the 40th, they were teasing him and Priya. Like it's kind of bizarre. It's weird how this sort of thing like works. Where it's like, got some interesting thing going. Martin and Priya. He's dying soon. Hey, Stacey, you're back. Hello, welcome back. It's just kind of, it's the same thing as well, because they both want to make a permanent decision with a character, but they also refuse to. Like Sam Mitchell, for example, where it's like, she's back. Kim Metcalf, she's back after like 20 years. This is so good. I'm so glad she's back. Is she gonna get with anyone? Not really. Nothing long term. Is she gonna steal money from Phil again? Yeah. Is she gonna run away and not actually change her life and still be a shit mum? Yeah. Oh, great. I'm glad you guys really had the conviction to try and develop this character even more, instead of just making her basically be agony aunt and just tell funny innuendos every conversation.
Wait, who is this again? Sorry?
Sam Mitchell.
I got you. I guess the other one is just Terry and Bianca. Or Bianca in any relationship. Oh, no, not Bianca. Sorry, I have the wrong one. Sonia and Reese. Where Sonia just became weird. Like, she just accepted Reese doing all this weird behaviour and then slowly lost her character. And then when Bianca rightly called her out, Sonia went, "Fuck you, die." And Bianca's like, "What?" And Sonia's like, "Yeah, I told you. I'm trying to have a baby here." And then when Reese kills Debbie, she just goes, "Yeah, well, I love him." And then Reese's like, "Yeah, you're going to jail." And Sonia's like, "What?" I mean, it's like, "Okay, but you're a killer." And he's like, "Come to the warehouse," locks her off. And it's like, what the fuck is even Sonia's character now, lads? What the fuck? Also, I want to say there's a funny video James Boy posted on his Instagram where it was like, I always wanted to be at Glastonbury, right? And it's a fucking video of like his flag blowing in the wind, like Gone But Not Forgotten, of like Martin. And he's like, I always want to be at Glastonbury, even if it was just a sign, a flag. But yeah, I love when people bring like EastEnders or like any character from a soap into Glastonbury or any shows like that. Gone But Not Forgotten. But it's just weird because some relationships just do that where they lose their identity. I guess like Ben before he was gay, I should say. He was trying to fit in, but he never could. And then they tried to say,
when he was in a relationship with Abby.
Yeah, and then Abby tried to blackmail him, I believe, and that was something.
She lied about being pregnant and then lied about losing the baby.
Yeah,
obviously he had Lexi with Lola in like a weird like, are you actually gay? Yes. Baby. Well.
the only other one I can think of is Paul. Oh shit! is Pauline after died, and she gets into a new relationship, and it's actually like Pauline would never do that though. Pauline would never.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the weird like lost our identity due to a relationship, but I still, yeah, I guess it is just kind of them needing to fit them to play a role, like when Ian got with Sharon. It's like, but this is going to be a really big thing. Look, Ian and Sharon, they're always meant to be together. It's always important for them to be together. This was such a great idea. It was always them two, and obviously Ian Ian killed Denny. So how about some of that? How about some of that tragedy? It's like, well, it just doesn't work, does it? Like you are actively making the characters worse to try and fit this really weird narrative.
It's just weird, but I'll read some of the comments, all 11 comments. Someone chimes in here. Callum Highway, the character, not the Reddit poster. So I've been there sadly. This is of course by Callum Highway, and then obviously
Nice.
Majestic Unicorn says Tony Clay's that you? No, just a fan. Liberal Chungus, of course not. And then we have, to be honest, I thought Callum lost his identity before that. When he was a part of the characters, he always was kind of a punching bag, or comic relief, or a background character to whatever was going on with them. When he got with Whitney, he was part of her stories. At least Ballum gave him stuff to do in 2019, and he actually got loads of focus because it was his story was struggling with his identity. Of course, he got fewer stories of his own. I don't think it started when Callum got with Ben. I think it's more of a systematic issue.
Oh yeah, like fundamentally, being with Ben made the identity of Callum Highway as a character for sure, and they did actually invest in it, in his story, in his struggle, and obviously they did it with Stuart to kind of bolster this as well. Like they did, it was definitely the making of Callum. If they didn't put him with Ben, he would be axed off the show immediately, and he is the only reason he's still on the show. It's just after the certain point, basically after they got married, it kind of all fell to the wayside, where they stopped focusing on Callum and focused more on Ben. But still, this relationship was the making of the character and the fandom surrounding it.
Yeah, and continuing on, our friend in the north says Denise lost a lot of her spark with Jack, but at least they channeled that into a storyline. Yeah.
They did indeed.
SD Pony says, I still think that spark is gone. I'm so excited for her to be single and be Denise Fox again instead of Mrs. Brandon.
But we all voted. They wouldn't split them up. We voted for them. I voted for Avi personally, but we voted for Jack and Denise to stay together.
I just want to say, I think that's a massive. I always want to say that I think the end goal was supposed to be Ravi and Denise, but they just went, fuck.
I don't think either were end goal, honestly.
But no, like in terms of voting, one of them was going to be the more.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, oh, they're going to definitely fall for Ravi, and it's like, oh, Jack, oh, bollocks.
I mean, they set up the alternatives and didn't really commit to either. So, like, no, Ravi and Priya gonna be together. They're not together. Oh, well, don't worry. Jack and Denise are gonna spend all this time together. Jack's gone for like 2 months. Well, like I don't think they wanted either one. It definitely. I don't know what. It was just for the like vote. It was just for the fan votes. They could say they had the first fan vote. Like that's it. That's the only reason why they did it. I still think Denise will be with Jack long term, but I find it hard to believe that they actually really wanted this relationship and believe that it is anything but just convenience.
Yeah, and reading the last 3 comments, I have no idea. 0021 says Kat, when she was with Phil, had hardly any involvement with the other Sledges, her actual family. She is not a Mitchell, and her character was so dull with him, in my opinion. Creative Finch says,
Agreed.
Creative.
Like, she stopped giving a shit about a family, and she was no longer poor because Phil bought her a business. But then when Phil and Kat never had scenes together, she, as it said, she wasn't really a Mitchell, but she wasn't a Slater either. She was just kind of on an island. It's why we've been quite vocal about saying how it has been nice for Kat to have been kind of renewed in this new era of EastEnders, because in her, like, in that, like, what, pretty much anything since she came back, pretty much. She was just always seen as a background character, which is not really where you want this character to be. Because Kat's potential is to be like the next Pat, in my opinion. That's who she'll. Obviously, she'll be her own character, and like she will be Cat Slater in the end. It's like she's just gonna start wearing the big earrings and have the hair like Pam St. Clement did. But like that's kind of the role that it feels like she will inevitably go into. So by keeping her very underwhelming and not using her while she is probably not in her prime necessarily, but an older Cat Slater can still be a leading lady. So yeah, it was just always a very strange time where they changed the status quo completely. We're not committing to Kat and Alfie anymore. We're tired of it. It doesn't work anymore. We're putting her with Phil. Are Phil and Kat gonna share any scenes after they're together? No. Fucking, you gotta do something with it.
Yeah, and again, just reading the last 3 comments, it's creative Finches. I completely disagree with her. Disagree here. But Alfie is way more dull. Her with Alfie is way more dull. And then I have no idea.
It's a slow rebuild phase. It's a slow rebuild phase with Kat. Kat in a year will be unrecognizable from her now. Okay, bit of hyperbole. She will be way more interesting in a year than she has been for last 5. So, especially with Zoe coming back with the Tommy storyline, like it's time for her to kind of regain that leading lady kind of confidence that they've kind of wanted for a while, but they didn't really know what. Like I don't know, they just didn't ever fully invest into it. So, yeah.
And then to end it off, Esty Pony says she became Mrs. Mitchell. They didn't give her a single storyline their whole marriage and totally lost herself.
Until he slept with Emma.
Yeah, which is a fantastic character. But I've no more to say. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think we've done a good job of this one.
Yep, and we will see you on the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye.